Our great sympathy goes out to Anthony Skibo Roberts on the death of his daughter Alexis. Very, very sad to anyone lose a daughter, and 30 years in cold, it's a shame. And another piece of sadness, Dr. Vernell Allen had a gold necklace snatched from her neck yesterday, just as she left the museum and went to a car park to get in a car. So that's regrettable, so we're going to have to take more care of our lady volunteers. We're moving along with the maintenance of the building, thanks to Dawn Davies and Leonard Smith, who's here tonight. And that costs money, as you know, so please donate generously. The AGM will be earlier this year, the 14th of April, next week at 6 p.m. We found a strange ruling in the minutes to say that the meeting had to take place in April, and we were really planning to have it in May, so we had to rush it and put it on the 14th of April. I hope that doesn't inconvenience anyone. And then our lunch fashion show will be on Thursday, the 5th of May at the Yacht Club, 12:30. Sorry to say the tickets, we've got to charge $60 because, you know, the price of the lunch is going up and up. And tickets from Clarice Granger. Our guest speaker. I got a little story for you about our guest speaker. Around about 1985, when I first met him, I was head of the General Studies at Queen's College, and a portion of the General Studies was to look at other philosophies. And so, on this certain day, and I think it was just before Christmas, Dr. Sudaram, a Hindu doctor, came in with his long white robe. Khalil Kafani came in with his fez and his long white robe, and our guest speaker with his speaker on Rastafarianism, dressed in an Afro costume. And one cynical English science teacher says to me, says, "Boy," he says, "what you got here, the three wise men?" Anyway, our guest speaker was born on the 18th of May, 1851, quite a young fellow compared with some of us. His education included, I don't know if I know all these degrees, what they are, an LLM Merit at the School of Oriental and African Studies at the University of London, England in 2004. He was called to the Inner Temple Bar of England and Wales in 1977. He was called to the Bahamas Bar in 1977. And he gained the LLB in 1973 from the University of West Indies, Cave Hill, Barbados. I cannot read all his many affiliations and etc., but one of them that struck me was Honorary Liaison Office for the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Nassau, Commonwealth of the Bahamas, 2006 to 2010. And he's had many community involvements. I'll just read out a couple. Acting President General to the Bahamas Pan-African National Congress in 2009. Legal Advisor 2007 to 2009, the Bahamas Human Rights Network. And he's had numerous presentations and publications. I'll just give you one in 2003. Let Freedom Reign, a wish list for legal and constitutional change in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And that was in Consumerism Today, Volume 9. His father was Arthur Dion Hanna Sr., our ex-Governor General. His mother was Beryl Hanna. His wife, who's here tonight, Ramila. And he's a very productive man, 9 children. I've got pleasure to introduce to you Arthur Dion Hanna Jr. and his topic tonight, Land and Freedom, One Bahamas and a Tale of Two Cities.
Being born in 1851, I better be careful. Good evening. It was the best of times. It was the waste of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. Good evening again. Salam in Africa Desda. As the black son of a black father, who's a lawyer, politician of long standing, and former Governor General of the Bahamas, from the humble origins of the remote village of Pompey Bay, Aucklands, and a white working class mother from the former slave port of Bristol, being born there myself in the shadows of World War II, but raised and educated in the Caribbean during the era of regional ascendancy to independence, I have a natural interest and curiosity in exploring the impact of race on legal processes in a diasporan context. In this regard, my personal experiences have been influenced by the fact that I've grown up in the Caribbean, and my experience has of necessity being a diasporic one. I grew up in boarding schools. In this, I've been influenced by a vibrant Bahamian oral tradition emanating from the southeastern island Aucklands. I was fortunate to have had a great-grandmother, affectionately called Old Mama, who was rich in this oral tradition and would often recall the experiences of her grandmother Chan, who was born into slavery. This was enhanced by my father, who would fascinate me as a toddler with stories of Brookie, Barabi, and Anansi, in tandem with Milton's Paradise Lost and Dante's Inferno, while my mother from an early age ensured that I was aware of the historical context of the liberation and anti-colonial struggles of the African people at home and abroad, and that I was no stranger to Patrice Lumumba, Kwame Nkrumah, Nelson Mandela, Frantz Fanon, and concept of independence and sovereignty. This foundation was reinforced by the concrete and steel of my uncles, Herbert, Sammy, Saif, and Long Boy, Arnold, and my cousin Ivan, who would often gather at the feet of my great-grandmother, ever the Queen, and exhibit their distinctive Auckland's brand of logic, rhetorical flair, and independence of thought. This rich historical world overview resonated in my family and reflects the algebra of the strong oral traditions of the region and our collective diaspora and historical memories. However, the beautiful geometric symmetry of this oral tradition sits uncomfortably with traditional Western academic analysis, and of necessity demands new research paradigms targeting these essential lived experiences of ordinary everyday people, encapsulating the rich diasporan oral traditions of the Caribbean in general and the Bahamas in particular. This is particularly relevant in any analysis of Bahamian society, where the illusion of one Bahamas creates an historical amnesia about the historical specificity of race in the development of socio-political and religious hierarchies and concentrations of power and wealth, which veils the truth and reality of law and the legal needs of the marginalized, the poor, and the destitute, who in a Bahamian context are invariably black. This is critical, given the indication by Essed that once we recognize that racial oppression is inherent in the nature of the social order, it becomes clear that the real drama of racism is not racism itself, but the fact that racism is often neither recognized, acknowledged, nor problematized by them. Accordingly,